All right, welcome everyone to our coaches meeting of the week. It is November 25th and 2019, rolling into the end of this year. Let's start out with our gratitudes. What is it you're grateful for this week? Let's start out this little group meeting on a positive note, and check in with us. Let us know what's happening in your world, and let's see. And I'll give you update about just where we're at with Robin coming on, and also update on going through the coaches book that we talked about last week, because it was just a cozy little meeting last week. And yes, all right, so let's start out. Who wants to share gratitudes?
I'm grateful that I'm feeling better and my kids let me come see the twins.
Oh, yay.
I got to see the twins for the first time in a month. Oh my God, they've grown so much bigger and they're so stinking cute.
Oh my gosh. That's a good motivator to get well.
It is. Very good motivator. It's also a very good motivator to get thinner and healthier, because I want to be around while they grow.
Yeah. All right, who's up next?
I'm terrible with grateful things. I called IKEA. Thank you to the US Thanksgiving. IKEA is having an early Black Friday, and I'm getting a refund for some stuff I bought last month.
Nice.
A price adjustment, not a refund.
Cool. So are you saying you need help with finding things in your life you're grateful for?
Well, I thought, let me call and see. And they said, sure, bring in your receipt. We'll do the adjustment.
All right. Well, cool.
We're not all bad.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a jazzercise person. I love to dance, and I love to exercise and dance. And where we're living now, they didn't have a jazzercise class, so they asked if I would lead it. And I don't teach the class by any stretch of the imagination. I turn on the TV and let the on-demand person do it. But it was fun to be able to dance with other people for a while and to be a facilitator there. So that was a big gratefulness in my world.
Oh, that's cool. That's fun. Did you ever think that you'd be in a place in your life leading exercise class?
You know, when I first started back at 500 pounds and I knew I had to start getting some kind of exercise, I could only do it from sitting in a chair.
Okay.
So I, did the arm motions and I moved my legs the best I could. So anything I do now is all gravy. Well, not gravy. Too many carbs in the gravy.
It's all bacon grease.
Ah, good idea.
All right. Sharon, it's you.
I'm grateful for time with friends.
Oh, nice. Let's see. What am I grateful for today? I'm grateful for last week. I got to spend 5 days with my older sister, and did a bunch of comedy down in Portland, Salem, Oregon area, and saw some friends, and it's just great having an older sister that I don't have all the background drama with. That so some of you know that I just found her 2.5 years ago, so it's like all the good parts of having an older sister without any of the back history of growing up fighting with each other. So it's pretty good. All right, so from our poll, so Robin is interested in coming on as a peer support coach. She's finished her year of alumni plus a fast track. And so she has a conflict during this time where she goes to her weekly personal training session. And so I polled everyone. There was not another time that was going to work for everyone that was also going to work for her. So in thinking about that over the last week, also I one of my goals in next year is to actually launch the training program to be a keto coach. So I've decided actually to not, because basically at this point, all of you have been grandmothered in on if you volunteer to be a peer support coach and you went through the training, I would let you, stay on without any additional charge for being an alumni. So all of you are still going to be grandmothered in as long as you stay on in that volunteer position. You can enjoy all the benefits and continue to work as one of our lifestyle coaches, peer mentor. And however, anyone new that wants to come on, it's actually going to be, because it's going to be something I'm going to be launching as a paid training where people are going to pay to participate in the training to be able to be trained as a keto coach and in this laser coaching. I'm no longer going to allow people to come on for free. It'll only be available for people that are actually going to be paying to participate in that training. So I'm gonna break that news to Robin and let her know that not only did we not find a time that we could all change the meeting to, but additionally, it won't be something that's available as a free thing anyways. Because I do have, and I launched it at this point, like I think 2 years ago, I did launch the beta version of that training, and I had 5 people go through that. It was very popular. And charged, I think it was, I can't remember now, $3,000 a person. Oh, we lost somebody already. It was like $3,000 a person that they paid to go through that training. So you guys the good news is you guys continue on as long as you want to stay in this role, but anyone new that's going to be coming on, it will be something that they are paying to participate in, because I'll be training them basically to start their own keto coaching business. And so I'll tell that to Robin. And then that also means, because we talked last week about restarting going through the coach's book, but actually I'm going to put that on hold as well until I have some people that are actually in that paid version of that program. And that means for you, Carmen, since you haven't gone through that training as well, is that once we start that new group of people, then I'll invite you to come into those trainings as well, so that you can enjoy that. And all of you as well, if you want to refresh, you're welcome to go through that new training as well. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm like, it feels muddy explanation, but
just confirming it's the same book that we did.
Yeah. So it would be, so basically, I've got some people that are on the wait list. It'll probably be a few months into the new year before we have anybody that's doing that, just because I need to focus on the core relaunch of the program first, and then one thing at a time. I'm only one person, so I can only do so much. But so when that, so it would be going through week by week the coaching for breakthrough success. Re-going through that book, and then also doing the training on the laser coaching. So, and also the first step in, the coach training is they have to go through the fast track program, which is going to be called the Keto Lifestyle Solution. So they have to have gone through that first as the first stage of their training, so that they are familiar in the methodology that I do teach. And then after they complete that, then they'll go through the coaches training program. So basically they get all in one, and that's why it's going to cost more than just the program by itself. It's because it ends up being that program plus how to make money from being a coach as well, and develop your own niche in this keto world. So does that make sense for everyone?
Sounds good to me. I'm happy to be here.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have anything to put on the agenda for today? I did hear from Karen S. I'll give you an update on what she's asking about too. Gotta look up her date. you may have people asking, but I'm going to hold the Thanksgiving coaching call. So on Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, that coaching call is still on for this week. I'll be there. Karen D is already registered for that. So if you have anybody asking, that call is holding.
Thursday's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it is.
So you hold the coaching call on Thanksgiving Day?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just saying. That
Oh, okay.
I will be holding that call on Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, Karen S. Oh, she didn't expire till March. I don't know what she's worried about. Okay. Oh, so her original fast track program started in December last year, but that's 2 months and then she gets a year after that. So anyway, she's got more time. So Karen S reached out to me asking if keto causes kidney stones. She's concerned about her hair loss, and also asking, what are the continuation options, because she thinks she's expiring soon. So I'll just do a quiz here. So what if somebody's, well, you guys, you may not know about kidney stones, but we'll still just throw it out there. Does anybody know, like, does keto cause kidney stones?
No.
What, so here's a little secret, is that cheating on keto can cause kidney stones. So this is often what people will say, like, well, I've been following keto and all of a sudden I got kidney stones. Then you ask them, well, have you cheated? Well, just a little. Because what happens is you get a huge insulin spike, and insulin will cause kidney stone formation. So that's when you dig in a little bit deeper, because people will say, well, I've been following keto, and then all of a sudden I just got these kidney stones. I learned this from listening to Dr. Nally back when he used to be on Keto Talk, the podcast he did with Jimmy Moore before. So I'll have to ask her about that. But I know that, those of you that know her know that she doesn't has a history of being really challenged with sticking with keto 100%. So that's, if you run into that coaching anyone, if they're like, oh my gosh, kidney stones. I mean, first of all, any symptoms that anyone is having, the first thing that we always want to recommend is that they check with their doctor, right? Because anything, right? I mean, we've got the common things that are the salt symptoms. But if anybody's having any serious medical, complaints, you don't have to know whether they're medical or not, right? Oh, I've got this pain in my front, or pain in my back, or I've got, blah, 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 anything. Oh, my stomach hurts really bad. Like, always start with, make sure you make an appointment with your doctor. There are tons of things, thousands of millions of things that could be going wrong in the body that just happen to coincide with keto. It's not that keto caused it. And so everyone wants to think like, well, it's just something of keto, I should do something different. An extreme example, a very dear friend of mine, she started my very first keto program. So now it's going to be 4 years ago is when I did my very first. So January of 2016, I did my very first keto program. She saw my results that I'd had. And so she came on board for that, lost a bunch of weight. And about a year into following keto, she started having a lot of really bad pain, which, in the area that kind of seemed like it would be the gallbladder, which sometimes we see as a symptom of keto, but typically it's in the beginning, right? So if somebody was just like, oh, it's an uninformed coach, a lay person who hasn't had training or support from a medical professional would have just said like, oh, it's just your gallbladder, don't worry about it, just have, blah, 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 right? So I encourage her, go in and get checked, make sure everything's okay. Turns out she had pancreatic cancer. The tumor she had was, the doctor said the size of it correlated with it being, she'd had it for 10 years. And so it wasn't that keto caused cancer. She had a cancerous tumor in her body for 10 years, and she went to get that checked out. And so she's alive today because she very aggressively treated it. I mean, she went in her first appointment with her oncologist, and they gave her a 9% chance of even living a year. And so she treated aggressively, followed therapeutic ketogenic diet after that, consulted with a bunch of experts, ended up being a candidate for the Whipple procedure, which basically they just like cut out a whole bunch of your insides to make sure they get all of it. And she's alive, and she's alive today because of that. So that's an example of like, I had pains in my stomach. What did keto do? Go to your doctor. Okay. So I want you all to like always have that as a blanket. Make sure you check with your doctor and get them, because a lot of times they'll be like, a lot of people don't like to go to the doctor. I'm sure it's nothing. Like, get them to agree. Like, that's the first thing. Make an appointment with your doctor. You want to make sure. And even if you need to tell that story, like, nobody wants the cancer scare, but if you get it checked early enough, most things are treatable. So it's better to know than to keep trying to take some digestive enzymes because you're just having trouble digesting fat. So that's always a default, any weird, odd thing. So that's, sidetrack of the kidney discussion, kidney stone thing. Okay, so I'll do more quiz and education too. So
okay, excuse me, before you go on, can I ask a question? So what you were saying is insulin spikes can cause, just insulin in itself, unless it's spiking crazy, isn't normally going to cause kidney stones. It's just the spikes.
Right. So eating normal keto, you don't get insulin spikes.
Right.
When you cheat on keto, you get a bigger insulin spike than you did pre-keto, right? Because pre-keto, you're eating high carb all the time, and your insulin, let's say this is like normal low keto. You're not keto before, your insulin is like this high all the time, and then when you eat, it's up here. It's just high all the time, and you get up and downs and up and downs. But when you're following keto, it's nice and low, which is healthy, the normal healthy, not, so insulin isn't bad. That's one thing we want to make sure we cover too. Insulin isn't bad. Too much of it's bad. Too little is also bad. That's type 1 diabetes. So we need some. We just want it to be in the healthy, normal, low range. When we eat keto foods, we get a little, the up and down is down here, basically. We want that. When you cheat on keto, you go from low to really high because your body overcompensates. And so you get these huge spikes. So that can cause some serious health complications. So anything, so you can have gout flare-ups, you can have kidney stone formation, you can have gallbladder attacks, you can have immune flares. If anybody has any history of anything that's gotten a lot better on keto, those flares are horrible. You can have like horrible heartburn, GERD flare-ups, all kinds of things. So that's one of the things in the very beginning of the training I recommend to everyone, not cheating is the best option, because if you do, you're going to have like big complications. You're playing Russian roulette basically with your health with those things. So that's commonly, if people are on keto and they say, I got a kidney stone, almost 100% of the time it's because they cheated on keto, and not because keto caused it. Any other questions about the seek medical attention? Because you'll see that in those, I don't know if any of you are members of keto keto Facebook groups. I've gotten out of all of them just because it was so maddening. People go on there like, I've got blood gushing out of my femoral artery. What should I do? You should have more protein. Well, you should have more fat. You should have more salt. You should do this. You should do fasting. You should try an 18-6. No, go to the freaking doctor is what you need to do. None of those things, that's an extreme example, but you see those all the time. Like, Oh, my blood pressure is sky high. What should I do? Go to the doctor. I'm having serious cramping and back pain. Should I have more fat bombs? Like, no, go to the doctor. Like, your body is this, yeah. So, yeah, make sure it's what's called CYA. Do you all know what that means? Carmen, is cover your ass. Cover your ass. Yeah. Yeah. The more degrees and certifications and credentials you have, basically the more liability we have. So you all are safer as just coaches. There's nothing somebody can take away from you, but as me, I could have my, state credentials taken away if I give the wrong advice. So, and all right, so let's see. I want to cover. Okay, let's talk about the hair loss thing, because this will be one that you guys get asked about too. And then let's just refresh and remember the symptoms of not enough salt intake. So my hair's thinning on keto. I've read articles about it, that keto causes hair loss. What should I do?
It doesn't cause hair loss, but I don't know what to do.
Okay.
Did I not remember that it can at the very beginning?
So it's not keto. Any significant weight loss can cause your body to perceive it as a stress and prioritize other things in your body, not hair growth. So keto does not cause hair loss or thinning. Rapid weight loss can. So not in everyone, but it can. So there's a lot of research out there. So when I first was doing keto, I looked into the research on this, and there's a lot of this on, especially women or people that have had weight loss surgery, because that induces really rapid weight loss. And so then they did trials where they did supplement protocols and the hair loss supplements and the biotin and all that kind of stuff. And what they found was there's no difference taking the hair loss supplements versus just waiting it out. So it seemed to be about 6 months in, when people's weight was stable, the hair started to regrow. So that's one thing to know. It's not keto doing it. It's can be rapid weight loss. And just, again, it's your body perceives that as starvation. There's not enough nutrients. So it's going to prioritize, hair is extra stuff, so the body's going to prioritize the proteins that you are having for other things rather than hair growth. But, having said that, you want to make sure then, so there's two things that can be done. So the first thing you want to make sure is that person is eating adequate protein, maybe even bump up the protein. Because if they're under eating protein, which can be pretty common on keto, actually, especially in women, that will lead to hair loss also. So that's the first place to go, is make sure they're doing adequate protein. So what's the adequate protein? So there's two ways of figuring it. There's the hard math way, and then there's just the easy numbers one. How do we know if somebody's getting adequate protein?
You have a formula in your fast track. I forgot the formula, but I've got it written down. It's take your body weight and divide it by 2 or something.
Well, so so basically it's 0.8 to 1.0 grams per kilogram of body weight. So basically the first thing you need to do is convert somebody's body weight into kilograms. So in Canada, maybe you already measure in kilograms.
Pounds.
Oh, okay. So to convert pounds to kilograms, you divide by 2.2.
Okay.
Now that number itself so the first part of the equation is 0.8 to 1. So whatever your weight in kilograms is, that's the one. That's the upper end of minimum amount of protein a person should have.
So is that the easy answer or the hard answer?
This is the hard answer.
Okay.
Math is hard.
So I'll tell you what I would say, which I think is the easiest one. I would say, what does Carole set your protein at?
Yeah. So do you all just remember even the my easy protein formula for women? Oh, you're muted, Karen.
I'm truthful and
80
no, I don't.
grams. 80, isn't it? 60 is minimum, but 80 is what you usually set it.
Yeah, so 60 to 80 is the lazy easiest way for women protein. That's the simple easiest one. And a lot of times people think that like, well, I got to make sure I'm not eating too much protein. And especially as women, you know, oh, protein's for men and muscles. I don't need to worry about that.
No, you need it.
So we want to make sure they're eating at least 60 grams per day. And if they've had the appetite reduction and they're only eating 1 or 2 meals a day, that can be challenging. So that's the first place to go. Make sure they're getting adequate protein. You know, rarely, when somebody's getting 80 grams a day as a woman, rarely are they having hair loss. So typically what I see is that when they're having that complaint, I go in and they've been getting like between 40 and 50 grams of protein a day. So what if, okay, help, my hair's falling out. What if, so what would you ask somebody first?
How much protein?
Knowing what I've already taught you now. What'd
How
you say,
much
Carmen?
protein are you on? Yeah, that's what Carmen said. How much protein are you doing?
Oh, I don't know. I think I'm getting enough. I'm pretty sure.
Are you logging it?
Ooh, good. Oh man, no, I guess the last couple of weeks I haven't been.
Because you might think you're getting more, but you may not be.
Perfect. Yay, gold star, Carmen.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So then that's going to be their first homework then is, okay, so we need to make sure, you know, let's laser coach this. Like, can, you know, are you willing to log this over the next week every day so we can make sure? That's the first thing we need.
And when are you going to log it?
Yep.
When? Very good, Karen.
Excellent. Excellent. Nice. Okay. Let's see. So the other thing that you can suggest too then is that supplementing with gelatin powder. Collagen is the popular one right now. I recommend gelatin because it's got more, like, so basically gelatin is a less refined version of collagen. So, you know, as people, you know, whatever, Western culture, whatever, you know, we want to buy supplements. And the trendy one right now is collagen, but it's more expensive than gelatin. It's more refined. It doesn't have as many of the benefits or compounds in it that we're looking for. So I recommend gelatin. I like Vital Proteins brand. And my son works at Whole Foods Market, so I go in there every once in a while just to see him. And they used to sell the gelatin. So the gelatin one comes in a big tub, and it's green, like a pale green. But Whole Foods no longer is selling the gelatin. They just have all the collagen types now because everybody's like into buying that. So I had to order online. I've got an affiliate account with them that gets people, I think, 10% off their order, and then it gives me a little kickback too. But I ordered through them. It took a little while. I was disappointed. It took like 2 weeks or something to get it because I kept going like, where's my stuff? Finally came in. Anyway, so that's, I put that in my coffee every morning. You blend it in. While it's still warm, it doesn't change the consistency or flavor or anything like that. And so that's another thing you can recommend as a extra boost for hair and nails.
So you said Vital Protein is the brand that you recommend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait.
And what about biotin?
It doesn't, research shows it doesn't make any difference.
Biotin doesn't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Vital Proteins is the company, yeah. Yep. Yeah, that was the first thing I looked into, Penny, and doesn't make any difference at all.
And now?
The placebo effect, see, somebody takes that for 6 months and then they're like, oh, it's better. But it's also like, no, you stop losing weight so quickly now. So
So I'm having a hard time reading my notes. So you're saying the collagen is not the one to get?
No.
Correct.
Okay, right. Thanks.
Even though it's everywhere, it's kind of like, think of the collagen version of it as like all the popular keto supplements. Like,
I'm just going to add some info. My mother had a blood cancer, and
So I am going to hop right into this today. With
Sorry.
my crunchy
she never had chemo, the traditional chemo. She took chemo pills, but the chemo pills were not. They did not make hair loss, but she did have hair loss. But she also lost weight quite quickly. And at the time, I was seeing a nutritionist, and I pointed it out to her because the doctor wasn't doing anything about it. Not her oncologist; she was fantastic. And the nutritionist said, have her, I can't remember if it was T3 or T4, something of her thyroid looked at, and her TSH was normal, was within a normal range. And they don't look for the T3 or T4, whichever, if your TSH comes in normal. And then the oncologist, when I suggested what the nutritionist had said, the oncologist said, absolutely, let's check it out. And she went and ran her own tests, and sure enough, again, that T3 or T4 was off. And she started, they corrected her thyroid medicine, and her hair just grew in wavy, and she was like the happiest person on earth that she didn't have to do perm anymore.
yes, good catch. Because actually, that's another thing. If somebody's having hair loss, again, default, go check with your doctor. It is a symptom of poor thyroid function, but that might also overlap with. So again, go check with your doctor. And you're right. Like most of the time, the doctors will just check TSH. Often that's normal, but there's a full thyroid panel. Typically, there's 3 or 4 different things that can check for thyroid function. Functional medicine doctor or a naturopathic doctor will do the full panel. Most medical doctors just check that one TSH number.
Right, they don't. And I've asked for it myself, and my doctor has said to me on numerous occasions, unless your TSH is not showing within the normal range, we don't look for the others.
Yeah. Which is, again, the way they're trained is that, like, if you're not in the death and dying range, then you're fine. So,
And there's that whole normal versus optimal. Dr. Davis in Wheat Belly talks about that extensively.
Yeah.
And so right now the doctors are looking at the normal levels, and he's like, that does not mean you're optimal.
Right. And that's what, anybody's trained in functional medicine, that's what they're looking at is optimal ranges, and they look at a bunch of different labs rather than just normal.
This is the brand I use.
Oh yeah, that's
Great
a great
Lakes.
one too. Great Lakes too. Yeah, that's a great one too.
And they do have 2 different kinds. I think the green one actually makes Jello, and the red one is just invisible. It just dissolves.
Yeah, and even the green one of theirs, the gelatin one, when you put it in hot liquid, it's not going to change. It only turns into Jello.
It has to cool.
Yeah.
But I've used both. I've made Jello.
Yeah, and the
keto Jello.
A little Thanksgiving thing, you can make keto Jello. If you all, side note here, if all of you don't know, I don't buy sugar-free Jello because one of the primary ingredients in it is maltodextrin. But you can make homemade keto Jello. I've done it. Get the one that Sharon is talking about, because you can get that on Amazon really quickly. You can get that delivered in time. I don't know about in Canada, but that one, and probably even the Vital Proteins, you could find that on Amazon as well. But I mix it with the Bai, B-A-I, which has all the fruit flavors. So you'll want to look up like a recipe online about homemade Jello or something like that. I can't remember the proportions, but it may be like 2 tablespoons of the gelatin powder. But you can even go to the grocery store and get Knox gelatin unflavored powder too. This is, so you could have this, no matter what, you could have this in time for Thanksgiving. And then I would recommend whatever your favorite fruit flavor of the Bai stuff is, and then you'll want to heat up the Bai, the juice, because that's basically, it's only going to dissolve if it's hot. So heat that up, just microwave it a little bit, stir in the gelatin, and then put it in mold. But again, I don't know the portions. It might be like 2 cups of Bai to a tablespoon or 2 of something. But actually, if you get the Knox gelatin, So here's how you could do it. You could go Knox Gelatin at the grocery store. You can either buy that or you could just look at the package. There's going to be a recipe on there for, how to make Jello out of it. So it'll say 2 cups of fruit juice to 1 packet of that or something like that. So, and then you can put real whipped cream on it too.
Oh my goodness. So you just my mind is blown here because my grandmother's, my favorite recipe of Thanksgiving was, a lime Jello, and then she'd melt in cream cheese into little chunks. And somebody asked me recently, what was your favorite? And I just thought, I just don't eat those things anymore. But oh my God, guess where I'm going as soon as we're done.
Cream cheese in it too. Oh my gosh, that's great.
Cream cheese, wow.
Yeah, it kind of looks like cottage cheese, but it's got a great consistency in Jello.
Oh,
It's lovely. Of course, she put in a can of pineapple, which I will avoid, but that's so exciting to me.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I never liked lime Jello, but I've several of my family members as well that have a similar recipe like that it's their favorite thing. And I always I don't like it, but I think I might go for I always like regular Jello too. So I might go with a different flavor and do the cream cheese. So do you, how do you mix it in when it's still hot?
It's still hot. You just use a whisk and it breaks up into little curds, like cottage cheese.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited.
I do the same thing, but I put it in the blender so it's smooth.
Okay. Oh yeah, I've seen the pictures of that where it's a milky white color Jello. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Okay, I just looked Amazon and there's a beef gelatin. Is that the same thing? Okay, that would be good.
Yeah.
It's not going to give flavor.
Yeah, so gelatin only comes from cows. So Vital Proteins makes a fish collagen. That's because you can get collagen from different sources, but gelatin technically only comes from cows.
Okay.
It's kind of saying I don't know. Yeah, bacon. Real bacon only comes from pigs. So gelatin only comes from cows. So.
And Sharon, the brand you had was called Great Lakes?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, also great company. They're not as good at marketing and stuff like that, so probably costs even less than the Vital Proteins one. So, all right. So good sidetracks. Let's see. Also, I was going to cover. The hair. Okay, the hair we got good. But also, yes, go check your doctor for this. So that's a good reminder. I'll remind Karen as well. So there is overlap. So if your thyroid's not functioning correctly, also if you're chronically under eating, rapidly losing weight, it causes your thyroid to not function as well too. So that might actually be what's causing the hair loss, is just the thyroid stuff. You want to make sure that, check with your doctor, even for hair loss. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause it could be cancer. Okay. Right. We don't want it to be, but it could be, and we want to catch that sooner than later. It could not, and also, check with your doctor, get them to agree. I'm going to go get an appointment, and let's make sure you're eating adequate protein. So, that could be, I'm eating 80 grams of protein a day and having hair loss. Okay. Definitely time to go see your doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have to, sometimes scaring people a little bit is what gets them to actually go follow up. And we'd much rather have them, get bad news and get it treated than to not go and it be too late. So, and again, keto is wonderful for a ton of things, but if somebody has something that was developing, 10 years ago in their body, it's not keto that caused it. It's just that something else was happening as well in their body too. So, and for her with her cancer, keto alone was not enough to get rid of it. She had to do radiation and chemo and all this other stuff. So, it doesn't cure everything. So let's pop quiz about, what are the symptoms of not enough salt? And just as a baseline, if somebody's having any of these symptoms we're going to talk about, whatever the amount of salt they're having, it means it's not enough. So everyone's needs different. So 1 teaspoon is a minimum And some people need, 4, 5, 6 teaspoons of salt a day, depending on a lot of factors. So let's do this as let's talk about the top 5 symptoms that people will have if they're not having enough salt. And then I'll cover like what are some scenarios that make people need more than what may be common or average. So headaches,
Yeah.
Tired.
fatigue, tired,
Mood
Cramps.
swings.
mood swings, not on the top 5. What'd you say, Carmen?
Cramps.
Cramps, yeah. Especially the type that, wake you up in the middle of the night, early in the morning. That's the most common times that people are going to have cramps. Leg cramps is the most common too, for whatever reason. There's 3. Think about, so sometimes thing in medical healthcare we think about is like kind of go scan the whole body. Okay, headaches, muscle cramps is the bottom. Think about something in the middle of the body.
Well, do you get more hungry when you're eating salt?
You could, cravings and stuff. I'll put that as like number 6.
Okay.
A little bit lower than hunger.
I get, if I exercise too much, I get jittery. If just because my electrolytes are all crazy, so or they're not right. So I know the salt, but I don't know how to describe that. Like dizzy. I'll almost get like dizzy.
Okay, dizzy, lightheadedness. That's in the top 5. Yep.
Nausea. Like nauseous.
Yeah, not nausea.
Constipation.
Yay, that's it.
I just know that too much gives you diarrhea, so I was thinking that might be it.
Yeah. Yeah, so did you get them all written down? Constipation. So, and then let's define that. So constipation, basically if you're not going number 2 every day, at least once a day, that's going to be constipation. So constipation, fatigue, tiredness, headaches, cramping, lightheaded or dizziness. What was cravings. So so those are, if anyone has any of those complaints, first question is going to be
Getting enough salt.
Yeah, how much salt are you getting first? And then with the follow-up too, is it the same thing we did with the protein? Well, I think I'm getting enough.
Correct.
So this is interesting. I've almost always done all my salt in one setting. I just get it over with.
Okay.
I've done that since, maybe 2 or 3 months in. And so then when I went on that cruise and I was gone 2 weeks, I didn't do any salt ever the whole time I was gone. Didn't feel the effects because I, whatever. Because I was eating too much food probably, so I was probably getting the salt in my food. But so then when I started back on the salt, I went back straight to what I was doing before, a tablespoon of salt at a setting, and it killed my stomach. And I thought that was interesting that just 2 weeks away from salt, my body already was adjusting back to no salt. So yeah, and so I would think that you might want to make sure that they're staying within the half and half, at least when they go back onto salt.
Yeah. So what's the top 2 symptoms of somebody having too much salt at one time?
Diarrhea.
Yeah. Immediate diarrhea.
And stomach. I got a stomach ache.
Yeah. So stomach cramps or nausea. Vomiting is the extreme of that. So like if you were trying to take a tablespoon of salt at one time, all of you probably would throw up right away, which is good because your body's like, this is too much. And so if you're not getting enough salt in through your mouth, where is your body's storage of salt? Where's the backup supply of salt?
Is that in your liver? Like kidneys? It's in my skin because my skin is always salty.
So salt is a mineral. There's maybe a clue for you. Where do we store all of our minerals in our body?
Bones.
Yeah.
Your bones.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
So
that's right. You mentioned that you start to lose bone density if you don't have
Yeah.
enough salt.
yeah, so this was one of
really?
the surprising things that I learned in school is that, physiology in our body is that actually all day long, our body's breaking down bone and rebuilding it. So, we think of like, well, as we form, our bones grow and then they're just there our whole life, but they're not. So the reason we lose bone throughout our life is we're actually not replacing it as much as we're breaking it down. So basically it's like we're pulling out of our savings account all of our life and not building enough bone up. Now we were told in school that once you hit 30, it's just all downhill from them. Turns out that if you're getting adequate fat, soluble vitamins, because those are necessary, so we have to have enough of those vitamins. So our body works in really cool ways. So in order to build bone, not only do we have to have the minerals to build it, but we have to have the vitamins in our blood, because they're cofactors. Our body can't just, put minerals in the bone. It has to have a bunch of other stuff to help it do it. And so if those vitamins aren't available in our blood, no matter how much minerals you have in your blood, your body can't build the bone. And so it turns out when we're eating a adequate fat diet, then we have enough of those vitamins and we can actually build bone. And so this is what I've seen on my ladies that have done DEXA scans year over year on keto. They're actually increasing their bone density. It's like, finally, we have enough minerals and these vitamins that we need to build the bone. So if you're not, so again, your body all day long is constantly breaking down a little bit of bone to maintain blood levels of minerals. So calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, potassium, sodium, those are all minerals. And there has to be a very narrow range in our blood all the time in order for us to be alive. So if you've ever seen your blood lab values for those are electrolytes. And if you've ever seen it, it's a really narrow number range, from here to here is all that it is. So if it's too low or too high. And so since we don't eat all day long, the way that our body maintains those minerals in our blood at adequate levels is that it's constantly breaking down bone in order to maintain it. And so it's breaking down bone, you get an influx, and your kidneys manage excreting. So it puts, you pee out the extra minerals that your body doesn't need, right? So it's got this bank supply in your bones of minerals, and it's constantly breaking it down. And it's like, we've got all these raw materials. It's like, okay, so we need a little calcium right now to balance this, but we don't need the sodium. So we're going to pee that out. We're going to put it in the bladder. And so this is what happens on keto. We need more salt because your kidneys are actually releasing more salt, sodium. And so in order to maintain the blood levels of sodium, so if you're not having any symptoms that we talked about, and you're not eating any salt, basically that means that your body's borrowing from its savings account, the bones, to maintain that sodium level. So you can get away with it for a while, but the problem is you're actually just, you're depleting your bone density, because it can't just go in and pick out just the sodium out of your bones. It has to break down all of it. So you get bone breakdown, you get all the minerals, and then whatever it doesn't need, it just flushes out of your body. So a lot of times people are like, well, I feel fine, I don't have any symptoms, and well, the cramps aren't that bad, or just a little headache. But when you really explain that, like, well, gosh, you're losing bone though to do that, then they go, okay, I'll take the salt. Like that suddenly makes it more motivating to them, because they just think like, well, it's no big deal. Like I can tolerate it. It's not that bad of a headache. The salt's really important, because basically it's one of the things that's going to help preserve your bone density. And because we just think of like bones are our bones and they make us stand upright or something, right? But they're actually our savings account of minerals in our body. And one of the things I learned early on, like my first elective class I took in nutrition school was in elder nutrition. And one of the things they taught us was that the bone density is one of the biggest correlators with longevity of life. So the lower your bone density, the sooner you're going to die. And so they also said that once somebody has broken a hip, they usually die within a couple of years after that. And it's not because the hip makes them die. It's just the sign that if your hip is supposed to be the densest, thickest bone you've got in your body. And so if it gets to the point where it breaks when you fall, it means your bone density is so poor that it's an indicator of your health status, basically. So you've depleted your bone, your mineral reserves so much that you basically are at the end part of your life. So so we want as much bone density as we can. That's one of the insurance markers for health, basically. So build up your savings account, your retirement savings account in your bones as much as you can. So eat adequate fat and get at least plenty of salt too. So
That's good information.
Spontaneous topics. This is good. Yay. Question from Karen turned into good education. What other topics are on your mind here? Any other Thanksgiving questions, or what are y'all planning for Thanksgiving? I know, Carmen, you already had yours last month, right? So
Yeah, I'm planning for Christmas.
Okay.
I have a Christmas tree up already.
I know in the U.S. it's a big deal about don't put your tree up before Thanksgiving, but you guys already had yours, so
Right. By the end of November, it needs to be up because by December I get too busy, and then I don't have time till like 2 days before.
That's a big
I decided I'm
advantage.
going to put some lights in my my palm that's over here. So
We are having 2 Thanksgivings. My mom's places has a brunch. So we'll go there and have brunch, and then we are going to some dear friends and having Thanksgiving with them.
And now you're making lime jello.
Yay!
I'm headed to Ohio the next 2 weekends. Oh, first one for Thanksgiving, second one for my aunt's 80th birthday party.
Oh, wow. How far is it?
380 miles.
Doable,
6 hours.
Not fun.
I'm driving the first week and flying the second one. So
I'm cooking, and we're doing ham and turkey, and I've got I'll do jello. And a couple other keto side dishes I'm going to do, like there's a stuffing one. Got to find something dairy-free and gluten-free for my daughter-in-law, so get into that.
Well, you should be able to do a keto stuffing, dairy and gluten-free, right?
Yes, that is one thing she can eat.
There's
But
one
I like
I
to eat
saw. Oh man, there's an Instagram person that I can't remember who they are. Let's see. They had a stuffing recipe, Karen, that seemed like it was pretty good. Let's see if I can. Oh, man.
Well, she's looking that up. My husband's gluten-free and dairy-free, and well, milk-free mostly. And I found a good pumpkin bar that looks good. So
Okay.
that should
Where
help
did you
too.
find that?
What's that?
Where did you find that?
I don't know, but I have it in my saved stuff. I'll send the link to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I have another call at 1, so I need to sign off. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving, Sharon. Drive safe.
Yes.
Carole, this was a great call. I think I might listen to it again and digest all that. And that was really good information.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was good questions. She came up with good teaching opportunity. So good.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, very, very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm grateful for
Happy
that.
Thanksgiving.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I can't find the account. It kept
Oh,
popping up
I may not be on next week because I have to be in the office.
Okay.
They want everybody in on Monday. So if I have the hour and I can get a conference room, I'll do that. But I'll let you know on Monday.
Okay.
Cool.
Drive safe, Sharon.
See ya. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, let's wrap up with okay, we did everybody. And for me, I don't even know what I'm doing for Thanksgiving yet. So my son and his girlfriend are they're hosting their first Thanksgiving themselves in their little 1-bedroom apartment, but they're just inviting over. So my son's cousin is his best friend. And so they're inviting this other couple that just got married in October. So they're inviting them over. So they're having their little double date couples first Thanksgiving. So that's adorable. So I'm not invited, but that's okay. They're really proud of themselves for doing that. So, and then my mom, I could go to my mom's, but that's 2.5 hours south. And I'm also supposed to be there on Saturday because that's my birthday. And I've got a show in Seattle I've got to be on. So I don't want to drive 5 hours round trip Thursday, come back to Seattle, and then turn around and do it again on Saturday. I don't want to do that. So I might just, I don't know yet what I'm doing. Maybe I find somebody's house to go eat some turkey at or something, or stay home and something. Anyway, so I don't have any plans yet. So, but that's okay. You know, Carmen and I will, maybe I'll put up my lights on my.
There you go. You could pretend you're Canadian.
Yeah.
You could fly to Iowa and you could have dinner with us.
Oh, I love that.
But our weather is much better down here in Southern California. You would have to come here first.
Ooh, I'm getting pulled in 2 directions there.
Well, my aha, of course, is Jell-O. But I really thought that was great stuff about the salt and the elderly, because I am of that age. So I find that very interesting.
Yeah.
This whole thing was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And I ordered the gelatin while we were on the call. It will be here tomorrow. So I am so excited about the Jell-O.
Everyone share your Jell-O photos in our Facebook group.
Oh, yes, that's a good idea. We'll do that.
My aha was that cheating on keto can cause flare-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that too.
Yeah, for pre-existing conditions.
Yeah. And I might just make, maybe I'll do my lights and make Jell-O on Thursday.
There you go. We'll be thinking about you while we're making ours.
Yeah. I'm going to have to try the cream cheese thing. That sounds great.
Yeah, it's good.
It's delicious.
Well, have a great rest of your day, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving. Send your Jell-O photos to the group.
We will.
And,
Thank you, Carole.
We'll see you all very soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.